lives. We here for the lunchtime lives. Let's get it going. Let's wait. We got YouTube live. We got TikTok live. Let's get Facebook up and running, and we got it up and running. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Wednesday, Hump Day edition of KnicksFanTV Live. CP the franchise in the building. On today's show, hey, we are 2 days away from the NBA trade deadline. So what will the Knicks do? We got to talk about it, man. Hit me up on the KFTV Discord. Let me know your thoughts. But we're going to give you some updates on what's going on with the usual targets. Gershon Yabusele breaking his silence. And I'm going to give you my top 5 wish list. So tap in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Salute to my guys at TikTok. We live. And you know what it is, man. This is going up on a wall, I promise you. But for one of the last times, tap in. Number one show for the fans, by the fans, home of 100,000 subscribers. This episode is brought to you by KnicksFanTV.com. Head over to KnicksFanTV.com and get your 100 KFTV merch. And also, tap in because we are back this Friday in New York City for the best watch party for the fans, by the fans. So make sure you guys are tapping in to KFTV, man. All week long, we got you covered. All right, let's get into it. Okay, let's get this going here. Salute to my franchise channel members. Salute to the replay gang. Hope everybody is doing well. All right, man. Good night. Knicks got the job done. 7 in a row. And tonight they take on the Denver Nuggets, who also had a night in Detroit. So that's a good thing. At first I thought coming into the week, I didn't check the Nuggets schedule. I didn't know that the Nuggets were going to be playing Detroit and playing on the second night of a back-to-back tonight against the Knicks, but they did, and they lost to Detroit. So give credit to the Pistons first and foremost as they sweep the Nuggets on the season series in the home and home, and now the Nuggets will come to Madison Square Garden looking to bounce back. So we will see who the Knicks will have. We'll wait and hear what the word is on Mohamed Diawara. We'll wait and hear what the word is on Josh Hart as well, because the Knicks are going to be kind of the walking wounded as well, man. I call them the New York ankle injuries because of so many ankle injuries that have been stockpiled with this team. But either way, let's get into it. I'm trying to fix my it's called my lower third here because for some reason it's not changing into what we have here. So hang tight 1 second. Around the screen. So the good defender Koulibaly chasing it. So it's working here. Okay, there we go. I got my trade video up. All right, first update. Obviously, what everybody wants to talk about. What's up with the Knicks and Giannis Antetokounmpo? Well, you're hearing a lot of reports now, multiple reports from Mark Stein all the way down that, this thing is most likely going to drag out into the off season. It was said that the Knicks are aggressive after him. You heard the Warriors as well, the Miami Heat, as well as the Minnesota Timberwolves. Well, now you're hearing a lot of smoke that, this thing is just going to drag out into the off season, which a lot of people speculated. All the talk about the Bucks fielding offers and making counter offers. It seems like this was just more of a fact-finding mission for the Milwaukee Bucks, but it really just makes sense for them to punt this thing into the offseason where more teams like the Knicks and the Timberwolves will have the draft capital to up their offers. And Mark Stein's latest report says that the Bucks want to make good with Giannis in terms of sending him to the team that he wants to go to. The question is, where does he want to go? We don't know. Is it New York or nowhere? Is Golden State a possibility? Does he want to play with Ant-Man? I told y'all before, I'll say it again. I got Giannis fatigue. I'm over it. I don't want to hear nothing more after this. I can't wait for tomorrow to come and go, whether he gets traded or not. I'm over it, man. I want to focus on the New York Knicks and how we get better, and I don't think they get Giannis at the deadline. I think the Knicks are a long shot. If this is a deadline deal, I don't think the Knicks will be players in this because I don't think that they will be able to compete with the offers that are out there. Now, if this does go into the offseason, that's when things will get a little bit interesting. Because if it is indeed New York or nowhere, then I think the Knicks will be players. But let's focus on the Knicks and their championship push. And we'll worry about Giannis when that time comes. But yeah, offseason could get very interesting. So that's on the Giannis front. Seems like all things will be heading into the offseason. Then he did this exclusive interview with The Athletic. And here we go with the on again, off again. I want to be with you. I don't want to be with you. So his quote, this is courtesy of Eric Nims of The Athletic. I want to be here, but I want to be here to win, not fighting for my life to make the playoffs. Well, it's going to be the latter. We know this. Because at the end of the day, the Bucks did what they had to do. They sold their soul to get Jrue Holiday in there to win the championship, and they did. This is the opportunity cost of winning a championship. You made it to the promised land. You raised the trophy. Now you got to pay for the loss of assets that you had to expend, that you had to use, the assets that you had to use to get you to the promised land. So that just is what it is. Giannis knows this. His agent knows this. The Bucks know this. They did the Hail Mary to go get Miles Turner, and everybody and their moms knew that wasn't going to cut it. So now they're in the basement of the East. They're better off putting the fatigues on and starting to tank up and pushing it into the offseason. It is what it is. And if he's going to stay there, let him get his farewell tour with Milwaukee. But enough with the quotes, man. I'm over it. All right? So that's the honest front. Now, with what the Knicks have in-house, you got, obviously, their biggest trade piece is going to be one Gershon Yabusele. The Knicks did not play him. He was the only Knick to log a DMP in last night's demolishing of the Washington Wizards. So clearly, he's got the trade flu, or in other words, they're trying to keep him healthy in the event that they have a deal in place that would allow them to ship off Yabusele, the contract, and be able to get a much-needed depth piece back in return. Now, there were reports earlier in this week that said that Yabusele is fielding offers from the EuroLeague. It said that there's a team in Israel that's interested in bringing Yabusele in. Remember, that's really where when he left the NBA and went to Europe, that's really where he regained form to even get invited back into the league. He was with the Celtics in the beginning, fell out, didn't really have a fit there, went back to Europe, built his game back up, went to Philly, had a great year, and that's when the Knicks fell for it and they signed him. And at the time, everybody thought this was going to be a good pickup. We all did. But it's flopped. They signed him without a coach in place. That was probably the biggest mistake that they made. And now they're trying to find any sucker that'll take this on. Because the issue with the Knicks right now is that he's got an extra year. He's got a player option on that deal. So now you got to basically beg a team to go out there and take him. So it's going to be hard for the Knicks to do it. I believe in Leon. I believe in Wes. I believe in Brock Aller to get the job done. But I think they're going to be, I think it's going to be tough sledding to get this thing done. It was already reported by Michael Scotto of Hoops Hype that that they were trying to offer Yabusele to the Spurs for Jeremy Sohan, and the Spurs didn't bite. They said the Spurs didn't want him. So that's just one. But hey, you never know. Either way, I believe that a Yabusele deal, any deal involving Yabusele, is going to cost the Knicks a couple of second-round picks. And given where they're at and their goals, it just is what it is. It's going to cost them. They're going to have to pay to play here for Yabusele. So he did meet with some French media after last night's game, after last night's win against the Wizards. Now, this isn't French, but it is translated in English. But I'll just play a little bit of it. You can hear it. Some of you that speak French in the chat, maybe you can translate as well. But I'll just play a little bit of it, and then we will react to it. Here is Gershon Yabusele.
Je pense que on va savoir bientôt, mais j'espère que rien de trop important, je dirais. En fait, si tu fais attention, je pète les plombs, j'ai envie de dire, parce que j'ai entendu mon nom dans 10 équipes, je crois, depuis le début, donc j'essaye de pas concentré sur ça.
Et aujourd'hui, j'ai vu qu'aujourd'hui, ces 2 derniers jours, il y a des rumeurs même d'Euroleague. Est-ce que c'est une possibilité ça ou quoi? Parce que soit c'est une player option que tu as la saison prochaine. Quand soit tu es censé rester au moins jusqu'à la fin de la saison prochaine en NBA.
Ouais, mais
C'est en train de s'exciter en Europe, là, c'est pour ça.
je suis ouvert à tout à cette heure-là. Pourquoi? Parce que voilà, j'ai 30 ans. C'est ma 12e année à l'heure à laquelle je parle, et que je pense que ce serait bête de se fermer les portes par rapport à n'importe quelle ligue au monde. Aujourd'hui, mon objectif forcément, c'est de rester en NBA, mais il y a une chose que les gens ne savent pas forcément, c'est en NBA peut-être que les gens ne veulent pas de moi aussi.
All right, and that was the key there. I don't want to, bore you with all the French if you can't translate, but basically Yabusele saying, look, the reports about him fielding offers from the EuroLeague, he's keeping his options open. And you just never know. He understands the nature of the beast. He understands the nature of the business in the NBA. He's got to protect himself, feed his family. So I think he's handling it as professionally as possible. And as we await his decision, we'll see. Now, a lot of you guys had questions in terms of how does that impact the Knicks? Like, let's say he does go to Israel. He does go to a team in the EuroLeague with 1 year left on his Knicks deal. Well, essentially, that's where they're going to have to negotiate a buyout. He's owed $5.7 million this year and next with that player option. So essentially, the two sides would have to come to an agreement. The Knicks, from the Knicks standpoint, you're going to have to come back and give us back some of that money so that they can have some savings on their books. And that's essentially how it's going to work with Yabusele. If he were to go to Europe. Obviously, from the Knicks standpoint, they would want to use him in that contract to get another player back. But if he indeed does intend to go to Europe, then the two sides would have to negotiate some sort of agreement. So we'll see, man. TBD on that front. What do you guys think in the chat? Hit me up on the KFTV Discord. Gershon Yabusele, man. What wasn't a fit here? Whether you want to argue about whether he was in shape, I just think the system isn't for him. It's not tailored to his strengths. And so it didn't work out. But hopefully it works out somewhere else for him. Now, let me get into, I'm just looking at my notes here, man. This is what we do on KFTV Live, man. We got our notes here, all right, my people on TikTok and YouTube. And we ready to discuss here. All right, let's get into my top 5 targets here. With all that being said, we kind of laid the groundwork here. The Giannis thing seems to be far, far down the road. The Yabusele thing could be tough. So at the end of the day, when we're thinking about the Knicks' assets or lack thereof, we got to think about, in terms of a wish list, some realistic targets. I know a lot of you guys, you have look, Najee Marshall is a guy that I would love. But from what we're hearing, the price is going to be high, as it should. He's having a great year with the Mavericks, a great contract at $9 million a year. He's averaging 17 points per game, seems to be playing very well with Cooper Flag. If I'm the Mavericks, I'd be keen to keep him. And if not, you're going to have to pay me to get rid of him. So I think that's a little bit tougher to get. A lot of you guys like Saddiq Bey. I think that's also tougher to get. Anything's possible, but the way that he's playing in New Orleans, he seems to have found a great home there, because that's kind of been the story of his NBA career. It's coming in as a lottery pick out of Nova. He hasn't really found a home. So, it's hard to see what the Pelicans are really looking for here. They haven't really made any of their players available like that. And it seems like they're kind of just, putting feelers out there. But if you want to go call them, then you're going to have to offer something good. They haven't put Herb Jones up. They haven't put Trey Murphy up. We're hearing that Alvarado wants to stick around. And Misi, early reports say that they're looking for a first-round pick. So New Orleans could be tough. Because, again, we got to think about, what are the Knicks offering here? You're begging a team to take Yabusele off your hands. Oh, shout out to OK Bert, $5 super chat, says the Knicks and French players are like oil and water at this point. Enough with the French players. Shout out to that one caller. I forget his name. I put the clip up there. The clip is on TikTok at the top of the TikTok page, and it's somewhere floating out there on the internet. And this was when Fournier was here. And again, no disrespect to the French people. My man said, listen, man, if he's French, put him on the bench. So, look, hey, Diawara seems to be bucking that trend. Now, he got hurt yesterday and had to get carried off, so that was a little disappointing. But Mo looks like he's got potential. He looks like he could buck that trend. But we have not been successful. My man is right. From the Frederick Weiss curse, Frank Ntilikina, we had Louis Labissiere in the program for mad long. He just came up. He's with the Wizards now. Fournier flopped. I mean, am I missing somebody? Yeah, just hasn't worked out. Clash of styles, I guess you could say. Clash of styles. But anyway, let me get into my top 5. This one is interesting. And they saw him last night. And Justin Champagnie. 24 years old, Justin Champagnie. Signed with the Wizards out of the G League on a 2-way deal. They signed him to a full-time contract this past offseason. And known to be a scrapper and a good rebounder, 6'6" wing. Justin Champagnie. He's averaging 7 points per game, 5 rebounds per game right now, 50% shooting from the field. 3-point numbers are not going to wow you at all. But what I'm looking for here with the Knicks, I'm looking for defensive depth and versatility, youth, athleticism, and somebody who can scrap. That's what I'm looking for this Knicks team as they gear up for the stretch run. I want somebody who can scrap here. We're looking for depth and insurance. That's what we're looking for. Depth and insurance. You have your core. You have your core plus your bench guys. See, Reek Pack in the TikTok says, what will Champagnie provide us? I just told you. Defense, rebounding, ending possessions, and defending. Because if I had to categorize my 3 priorities in terms of this trade deadline, I would put the point first, the backup playmaker. Even though I like Tyler's minutes. Do you trust Tyler right now? Ask yourself this. Do you trust Tyler Kolek right now to give you big minutes in the playoffs? Right now, I don't. But I do like the fact that he's getting the experience. Maybe he turns it up because they might not have a choice. I think his playmaking is needed. But what we've seen so far against pressure defenses, against tougher physical defenses, he wilts a little bit. He's not really ready for that. So I do think the backup point is a priority. Then I would go backup big, and then I would go backup wing. So in a case of Champagnie, when you're asking what he can do, I think of it like this. Again, insurance, depth piece at the wing. But think about it like this. They're going to go see Cade on Friday. They're going to go see Jaylen Brown on Sunday. Now, conventional wisdom would say, put OG on him, and slow him down, because you're not going to stop these guys. They're superstars. But put OG on him to slow him down. Well, these guys, especially in the case of Cade, what do we see in the first matchup against the Pistons? OG picked up his first foul very early in that game. And it took away his effectiveness. So to me, it's just like in baseball when they say you can never have enough pitching. I think in basketball you can never have enough wings. I'd throw him out there during the dog days of March, April. Maybe you want to dial back OG's minutes a little bit, keep him fresh. But also, hey, if you pick up foul trouble, because look at the guys that they're might have to take on in the playoffs. You might have to see, you're going to have to go through Cade and them. You probably have to see Jaylen Brown. Maybe it's Franz, it's Paolo. I want to throw waves. I want to throw waves as wings out there. The Knicks at times have appeared to be short on the defensive side of the ball. And also, look at the injuries. Hart, another ankle injury to the other ankle. Hart already came back early for this team because he was trying to help them get out of a rut. Now you got Diawara injured. And do you trust Diawara in a big spot in the playoffs? Right now, they're allowing him to go into these games, and he's making a lot of mistakes, and they're allowing him to kind of make some of those and gain that experience. So Champagne's interesting, in my opinion. And this was an interesting thing. Like, I don't know how much you guys buy into the advanced stats, the analytics when it comes to some of the newer ones that they throw out there. But there is one called Darko. If some of you guys are familiar with Darko, as some of you guys might not be. But Darko is more of a predictive stat. It doesn't really look at what you did in the past. It factors that in to trend forward in terms of what that player is going to be. So it factors in what you did recently, how similar players have performed in the past, your age, where you at in your career, your role, your minutes, and how the team performs with you on the floor. That's essentially, if you have to boil down Darko in layman's terms. Now, according to, again, I'm just reading the research and reporting it out there. According to Sporting News, Justin Champagnie, his new contract, he's at $2.3 million. According to Sporting News, based on his impact on the floor, now Washington's not winning many games, but based on his impact on the floor, they consider him one of the biggest steals, given his contract number, and compare him to the impact of a player that should be making close to $16 million a year. Again, you be the judge. Wizards are a doormat, but the Darko numbers, the stats would indicate that this is an impact player. And I think somebody like that, going from the basement to a team like the Knicks with a better structure, better players around him, you could see that impact on a better team. You know who was like that? Josh Hart. Josh Hart was like that. Josh Hart was playing on perennial losers until he got to the Knicks. From the Lakers during that time to the Pelicans to the Blazers. Right? He was still doing what he was doing. But you didn't feel that impact until he got to the Knicks, until he got to a better team. Maybe that's the case with a guy like a Champagnie. That's all I'm saying. So that's number one. Number two, and this is in no particular order because, again, these guys we're all talking about role players here, right? We're all talking about bench, maybe even end of bench type of depth. Number two, how about Yves Missi? As I said, New Orleans could be looking for a first-round pick. That's what Will Gilroy of The Athletic has said, that they could be looking for a first-round pick. He gives you shot blocking. He gives you offensive rebounding. 21 years old. It said that the Knicks had been kicking the tires on him. 6'11" out of Baylor, second year in the league. I look at the center depth as another area of need. I'd say second on the list right now because, look, we know what Mitch means to this team. You have Karl Anthony Towns, and you have Huck, who is a bit kind of on the Missi side, like raw. So I think having that depth there behind a Mitchell Robinson, you don't know if Mitch can stay healthy through this thing. You knock on wood. They're not playing him on back-to-backs and things of that nature. And Mitch has been playing fantastic ball. We've seen Mitch's impact now. We saw Mitch's impact in the playoffs. Remember when I was saying, start Mitch. Start Mitchie. I mean, he was phenomenal in the playoffs. Now, Pacers, things kind of fell off a little bit. But for the most part, he was providing them with winning basketball. But you just never know. So a Missi pickup would be similar, just in terms of having that depth, insurance, and you just never know if they're going to sign Mitch in the offseason or not. So I would take a look at Yves Missi. What do you guys think in the chat? As kind of a honorable mention and back up to that, if they can't get Yves Missi, Nick Richards from the Suns. According to Ian Begley, the Knicks did tap in or check in on Nick Richards with the Suns. I want to try to find that soundbite so we can listen to it. And I will be on with Ian Begley and on the putback for tomorrow's trade deadline. I will be on SNY on YouTube during the trade deadline show. Now, we're trying to get that simulcasted here on KnicksFanTV. That way I don't have to double up. I'm still waiting on the word from those guys to see if that happens. Speaking of Ian Begley, he says Josh Hart listed as questionable. As we said, Miles McBride is out, and Mo Diawara questionable tonight, all with ankle injuries. Okay. Let me see where is Ian on the Nick Richards thing, because he was on here. Hang tight. Salute everybody in the chat. Nick Richards. Okay, here's Ian on Nick Richards. I'll play the clip, and we will react to it. Here we go.
The Knicks, we talked about Jose Alvarado a lot, talked about Yves Missy. I would add Nick Richards. I think the Knicks have checked in on Nick Richards, so I think you're looking at backup guards, backup wings as the most likely scenario there, and it hinges to some degree on Yabusele. We talked about also Najee Marshall being on the Knick radar, but there, it's just a salary thing where they would have to give up something significant to get Najee in here. The Knicks, we talked about Jose Alvarado.
All right, so that was Ian Begley. Didn't go into too much color on their pursuit of Nick Richards, just saying that they tapped in with Nick Richards. They tapped in with Alvarado, checked in with Alvarado, and that he also mentioned that, yes, they are interested in Najee Marshall, but again, it's a salary thing. We have to always remember that when we're thinking about these guys, you got to think about how will the Knicks get them. You have to make the salaries match. So the Yabusele thing is close to 6, but you still need like a Yabusele Adadie, a Yabusele Kolik. You still got to mix in a couple of guys just to try to pitch for one of these guys to come in. But on the other side of the table, you got to sell that team or why they got to take these guys on. So it's tricky. So either way, so we said Champagnie, Misi, Nick Richards is kind of an honorable mention. Next up, as I mentioned that name, Jose Grand Theft Alvarado, bringing him back home, the former Georgia Tech product by way of Brooklyn. Backup point guard right now with the New Orleans Pelicans. And my pursuit of Alvarado is exactly what I said in terms of, do you trust Tyler? Do you trust Tyler in a big spot in the playoffs? We don't know what the status is of Deuce right now. Is this going to be a longer-term injury? Can he recover? Can he regain form? Let's knock on wood and say it doesn't happen, but let's say the worst and you lose Deuce. You got Tyler, you got Clarkson to step up in that role. Do you trust Tyler from the experience standpoint and his ability to handle the physicality of the playoffs? Like, if you play Boston, he's got to make plays against Pritchard, against White. You play Detroit, he's got to go up, maybe the St. John's kid. And I say maybe because Dennis Jenkins. I say maybe because he's running up out of days on his 2-way contract. So Detroit's going to have to make a move if they want to sign him to a full-term contract. But either way, the point still stands. Clarkson, he can be a chuck at times. He can be on point at times. So I would bring in Alvarado as insurance, as a pesky 94 feet pickup type of guy. A scrapper in the playoffs. He's got that New York tough, that New York grit. Yes, undersized. I know you guys don't like that. I dig it. I totally understand. But they just don't have that many options, that much assets to work with. So I would take a look at Alvarado. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Because one of the interesting things here is that according to Will Gilroy of The Athletic, it seems like Jose Alvarado doesn't want to leave the Pelicans. And the only reason I can think of is he's got one more year left on his deal. And could he be looking at it like, yo, I would love to come home? Obviously, I'm sure he would love to come home and play in front of his family and friends and all of that. But he's also got to think about his future. And that means, does he get playing time here? Whether it's the regular season or the playoffs. So I can't really blame him. You know, being in New Orleans where it's kind of helter-skelter situation, he might look at it like, yo, I got opportunity to paint my own canvas here. So that's number 3 for me, will be Jose Alvarado. Number 4, someone a lot of you guys have brought up and a lot of you guys like, Ayo Dosunmu with the Chicago Bulls. What do you guys think about Ayo Dosunmu? You know, with the Bulls trading for Mike Conley and Jaden Ivey, that backcourt is jammed up. They got a lot of guards right now. And so, hey, could Ayo shake loose here? Now, he's making $7 million. Again, contracts, 26 years old, making $7 million, shooting 45% from 3. Great three-point shooter. In his previous 4 years, he was terrific. His rim percentage was terrific. He was in the high 60% efficiency at the rim. Now, that's dipped down quite a bit this year. He's in the lower end. He's at 61%, but that can change. But nevertheless, those are the two things that I like about a guy like Ayo Dosunmu. Number one, he can put consistent pressure on the rim. That is what my main concern is with this Knicks team, especially when they go into the playoffs. The three-pointers are hot. The three-pointers are cool. But what happens when you get stuck? And a team is gaining momentum based on the defensive stops that they're getting you. They need counters. As somebody said in the chat, AD Sadiq, Ayo is a relentless scorer. I like that aspect. I think he can help this team a lot. On top of the fact that he can defend. And he's tough. But what's it going to cost? That's a problem. According to Jake Fisher, the Bulls are talking to the Pacers about a potential Ayo for Benedict Mathurin swap. Now, that's just a rumor. But if that's true, and that's the quality that the Bulls are looking for in return, I would have to think if it's not a Mathurin, then it's a first-round pick caliber asset. Then I think it could get a little bit tough. Because, yeah, that came across the newswire just earlier last night, late last night from Jake Fisher. Reek Pax, salute. That they're talking Ayo for Benedict Mathurin. So you're talking about young player with upside for another young player with upside. Knicks don't have that. At least with the upside that those two guys potentially have. GBXL, franchise channel member, says Ayo is deuce with a handle. Agreed. So that's my other guy. What do you guys think about Ayo? Let's see what happens. But with the Bulls, obviously Ivy was a target in that trade with the Pistons. Didn't cost them anything. So obviously Ivy's a target. You got Giddey there. They still have Kobe White for now. So Ayo could be kind of the odd man out, if you will. So it's bears watching. Certainly bears watching. Knicks are interested, but can they get him is a different thing. $7 million, 26 years old, Ayo Dosunmu. What do you guys think in the chat? Let me know. And then my fifth pickup is his teammate. How about Jalen Smith? Center, 6'10". Dropped 16 points on the Bucks last night. 3 of 5 shooting from downtown. You know, just throwing those stats out there. Not to evoke recency bias or anything like that. Just throwing it out there. Had a good game. Good 3-point shooter. capable shot blocker. When he first came in out of Maryland, there were doubts in terms of his fit in the NBA. Is he a 4? Is he a 5? What's his real game? But he seemed to kind of settle into a role. He started to kind of trend upwards with the Pacers, went to the Bulls, and now he's kind of looks like he's kind of reached a cruising altitude, if you will. A guy like that who can stretch the floor as a backup big, that gives the Knicks a bit different dimension when you're thinking about your front court depth and versatility. A guy that can shoot the 3, maintain your floor spacing, can defend, scrappy defender. No, you're not the best, but scrappy. $9 million. $9 million. So again, a little bit tricky. You're talking about stacking up 3 guys, 3 players to try to go get him. Shout out Abdul. Abdul, I see you on the YouTube. I see you on the TikTok. Shout out Abdul, man. Never misses a show. A franchise channel member, longtime KFTV supporter, and part of the 100,000 subscriber gang, man. If you're part of that 100,000 subscriber gang, throw a 100 in the chat. And like I said, man, get your 100 KTs, 100 KFTV tees in the on the YouTube, on the Knicks Fan TV store. And like I said, man, we do have them in the orange and blue classic custom KFTV tags. You know it. This is what we do. But we also got them in the gold. I like both of these. And people have been ordering them in both colors. And for you Valentine's Day lovers, we are running a 20% off Valentine's Day sale at shop.knicksfantv.com. Head over to shop.knicksfantv.com. We are running 20% off Valentine's Day sale. So make sure you guys are tapping in and getting your merch. Free shipping on all orders, $75 and up. Fast and free shipping. Everything ready to ship today. So make sure you guys are tapping in. I'll go ahead and throw some links up in the YouTube chat right now. Salute to everybody in the chat. Lunchtime edition. If you guys are on the grind, man, type in hashtag grind in the chat. Let me know. I'll shout you guys out. Knicks taking on the Nuggets tonight. Very much looking forward to that game. Knicks Finest on the TikTok. I see you. Shout out to everybody on the Facebook side tapping in on the lunchtime grind as well. Ivan Miranda, salute. Paul Gallo. He says, what's up with Drew Holiday? It's going to be too expensive, my guy. He's too expensive and he's washed. So I don't see that happening. But I gave you my 5. You guys let me know what you think. Call me up in the KFTV Discord. I'll open up the lines. I'll open up the Discord. I still owe you guys a Discord tutorial, man. We've been so busy. I got to show a lot of you guys. Some of you guys still don't know how to access it. I got to maybe Friday. Maybe if I could fit it in on Friday, we'll do it, man. But I've been promising you guys a Discord tutorial on it, and I need to deliver on that. So I'll put that in my notes. But my 5, Justin Champagnie from the Wizards. Yves Missi from the Pelicans. Honorable mention, Nick Richards. Jose Grand Theft Alvarado from the Pelicans, point guard. Ayo Dosunmu, point guard from the Chicago Bulls. And Jalen Smith, center from the Chicago Bulls. Let me know your thoughts. If you guys have any other names you want to throw out there, throw it in the chat. We'll open up the lines for a Q&A. Now, you guys were talking about the buyout market. From a buyout standpoint, Mike Conley, so look. I threw the name out there. I had to duck yesterday. I threw the name out there, had to cover up because the tomatoes was flying at me. I know, I get it. He's washed. There's a reason why the Timberwolves kicked him to the curb. He is washed. All I'm saying is insurance, depth, and not many assets to work with. We're talking about the end of the bench. Veteran locker room experience, presence. Very well respected. I don't think there's a guy in the league that doesn't like Mike Conley. That's all I'm talking about. Maybe he serves in that PJ Tucker role. You're talking about throwing pennies on the dollar at a guy to come in and just be a locker room presence and a leader. I don't think you could lose there. And with the Bulls' backcourt depth, he looks like a guy that's not going to be long there anyway. And this is the thing that we have to consider with the buyout market. Again, the new CBA. Blame CJ McCollum. Blame CJ. The Knicks will not be able to sign anybody on the buyout market who had a previous deal that is larger than the mid-level exception. They will not be able to sign anybody on the buyout market whose previous deal was larger than the mid-level exception. All right, so, for example, Mike Conley, they can sign. Chris Middleton, they cannot sign. Because Chris Middleton's previous contract or current contract is bigger than the mid-level. Conley's at $10 million. I believe that mid-level number is around like 13, if I'm not mistaken. CS in the chat, Eves Misi's on my top 5. Somebody on the TikTok said, what happened to Bull? He's at home, man. Reality kicked in. He's not an NBA player. Shout out to Joseph Holly, 8437, a member of the franchise channel members. Welcome to Joseph Holly. Let me catch up on these two. Shout out producer Gamba for sending that to me. Let me shout out these two super chats that I missed from Knicks Weekly the other night. I always want to make sure I salute the people that support us. Vaughn Kwan says, $10 super chat says, Yabusele stinks. Dadier hasn't popped, so you need another player in a similar situation. So get Trey Mann. He's behind Fox, Ball, and Knipple. With us, he would get minutes. Trey Mann, anybody? Let's look up Trey Mann's contract. Well, I always liked him coming out of, where did Trey Mann go? Was it Florida? I believe Trey Mann came out of Florida, no? So Trey Mann's at 3 years, 24. So he's at $8 million. So again, that's another situation where, you know, you're talking about trading like 3 guys. Tricky, but I like Trey. You guys know that when you guys watch our NBA draft show, y'all know I was a Trey Mann guy. I wanted them to draft Trey Mann. Florida, yeah. Trey Mann went to Florida. Okay, I was correct there. Shout out to Isaiah, man. Isaiah's always in here. A slow-mo. You guys want Kyle Anderson? Vet presence, can play the wing. It's probably a little bit slower, even slower now, but, you know, vet presence. You guys want slow-mo? I take him. Like I said, when you think about getting rid of Yabusele, you think about buyout candidates. Anybody can help, man. You're talking about like the 13th guy, 14th guy, insurance. Somebody said Batum. You know, Batum was another guy that was on my list a couple months ago in terms of trading Yabusele for. He's a bit lower on my list. He's lower in the top 5. But Batum, veteran presence. I know with the French guys, I know. But veteran presence. A little bit of defense. Maybe he knocks down a 3 or 2 off the bench. Nicholas Batum. Dorian Finney-Smith, no shot. We don't have a chance. Towns loves Kyle Anderson. Yeah, they were former teammates. What's Evan Fournier doing these days? He's in Israel. Maybe I don't think it's the same. No. He's not in Israel. He's in Greece. He's in Greece. Yeah, Fournier's in Greece. Yeah, it's unfortunate Yabusele didn't work out, but, you know, it's the nature of the business, man. It happens. Let me salute some more. Salute Real Talk Radio. Welcome to the franchise channel members. We'll be back live tonight on YouTube. Post-game live, Knicks versus Nuggets coverage. Very much looking forward to that game, man. Very much looking forward to that game. We always match up well with the Nuggets and play them well. Knicks have played some very competitive and beaten the Nuggets. Remember last year, OG dropped 46 on them. That was last year, right? Or was that the year before that? What was the year OG dropped 46 on the Nuggets? I think that was last year, I believe. DJ Mr. Man, do I think Clarkson is gone? Nah, I don't. I don't think so. Fell out of the rotation right now. You need Clarkson. You don't know what the Deuce situation is. So I think right now you need Clarkson. Knicks have been the walking wounded right now. So I think cardiac's a necessity here, man. And he should bounce back. He should definitely bounce back. But look, that's the nature of Jordan Clarkson's game. He's an erratic player. He's going to have his peaks. He's going to have his valleys. Just like any other player, but more so with those erratic guys because they don't really impact the game in any other way outside of scoring. That's why with Clarkson, it's like if you get some scrappy defense from him, you're like, oh, he had a great night. On the TikTok says he needs to play more D. Yeah. You know, those type of shooters, they don't really have that in-between to impact winning. Like Jamal Crawford, like J.R. Smith. Like Malik Monk. Like, that's why those guys are 6 men. And not starters. Even though they have started in their career. That's why they end up being 6 men, because they're specialists. And Ginobili was different. He was a hell of a player. That Spurs team just had depth. But you get what I'm saying. All right, who else we got here? We going through it. I got my notes here. I got my water here. I'm ready, man. Throw your questions in the chat. Let me know what you guys are thinking here. One day ahead of the trade deadline. I'm going to react to some of the trades that have already went down. I'm definitely going to do that. Before we wrap up the show, I'll react to what we've seen so far. But before I do that, let me shout out one of the sponsors of the show, and that is Rula. Listen, man, your mental health is no joke, and protecting your mentals is a serious thing, and I highly encourage it. It's something that I've done in terms of, seeking the proper help. Look, man, life can come at you fast from the responsibilities that you have, work life, family life, Knicks life. Let's keep it real. It's a stressful thing being a diehard fan, but the good thing is that you got experts out there that can help you, and Rula is no different. Go to Rula.com, RULA.com/KFTV to connect with mental health experts who specialize in you. They have over 15,000 licensed professionals waiting to hear from you. And the best thing about Rula is that, look, we all know the state of the medical industry and how insurance can be sky high for some of these things, and some of the services can be sky high. The thing about Rula is you can see somebody for as low as $15. So head over to Rula.com, RULA.com/KFTV for more information. Shout out to Rula for sponsoring today's show. Okay, now we did have a lot of trades that went down yesterday. Typically, trade deadline is when you get most of the stuff, but let's go through some of the deals that we saw yesterday. I talked about the Giannis thing. How about Harden for Darius Garland? What did you guys think about that? Now, that had been rumored to be going down a day prior. That was on Monday. We got that news that Harden for Garland was getting hot and heavy. What do you guys think, man? For the Cavaliers, I think the eventual demise, not necessarily the demise, but the split between Garland and Mitchell, that was inevitable. It was going to happen this year. I was waiting for it to happen this year. A lot of people were. There was always questions about their fit together as two small guards. Did they like playing alongside of each other? Last year, it seemed like when one was hurt, the other would go off. And when the other was hurt, the other would go off. So it just seemed like there just wasn't chemistry there on either side of the ball when they brought Donovan Mitchell in there. Now, what's surprising to hear is that, according to reports, Donovan Mitchell requested to bring James Harden into the mix, and Darius Garland signed off on the trade to the Clippers. Now, he's got the toe injury. He's expected to return soon. This year has been a very bad year for him in terms of injuries. I never really looked at Garland as like a big-time player. Good player, very good player, but I never really looked at him as like a high-impact player. So I always looked at this eventual separation between the two as Cleveland tries to give it one more push before they completely dismantle the team. But what I do see here is with the Harden acquisition and the Mitchell in tow, I think LeBron comes through next year for the farewell tour, and they go with that team. LeBron, Harden, Spider, Mobley, Allen, all those guys. I think LeBron is the one that gets added to that mix. That's what I think happens. Ain't no way the King is leaving this league without a farewell tour, all his flowers, all the branding, the merch, the Netflix documentary, all of that is going to go down. There's no way he's fading into the dark just like that. So that was interesting. But, you know, the big winner in this trade is once again the OKC Thunder, who own the Clippers pick unprotected in 2026, thanks to the Paul George trade. Paul P.E.D. George. And no, it wasn't PEDs, but yeah, he was taking drugs. You know, I don't want to cast aspersions on him, but yeah, he's out. He's out of there. But yeah, the Thunder own the Clippers unprotected pick. Now the Clippers are ninth in the West right now. We'll see what happens when Garland comes back. Does Kawhi Leonard get traded? So it's very interesting. The Ivy move to Detroit. You know, a lot of the Knicks competition in the East. Do you want to say they got stronger? I mean, you know, I was never high on Kevin Huerter. I don't really think much of him as a player. He's shooting 30% from three this year. You know, he never really panned out to be the three-point shooter that he came into the league as. With the Hawks, he was much better. He killed the Knicks in that playoff series. So, you know, the Pistons were looking for shooting. Does he help there? Hey, we'll see. Maybe he becomes a timely three-point shooter for those guys during the playoffs and things of that nature. But the Ivy thing seems like they were never going to re-sign Ivy to a longer-term deal. Good pickup for the Bulls. He has to prove that he's healthy. And for the Pistons, they get the pick swap. And according to our guy Yossi, seems like with the pick swap, they would be moving up like 7 slots up in the draft. So I think that's a good longer-term vision by Trajan Langdon and another good asset to have in the war chest. What else do we have here? I thought the Vucevic pickup by the Celtics was excellent. I'm just going to call it like it is. I thought that was a big move by the Celtics. They continue to, Brad Stevens continues to find a way to fine-tune that team. This was supposed to be a gap year for them. They get rid of Porzingis. They get rid of Drew Holiday. You get Tatum hurt with the Achilles. This was supposed to be a fine-tuning for the Celtics. And now they're a contender in the East. Give credit to Jaylen Brown. He does deserve. Yes, he always wants his respect and flowers. I think he deserves it. From a basketball observer, the one piece that was missing was the big. And when I had our guy Keith Smith on the show, we talked about, like, do they go big fish hunting on the big, or do they go, smaller? They went in the middle and got Vucevic. So they kind of got their Porzingis replacement, expiring contract. They used the Simons deal, expiring contract, to fill a position of need. Simons was extra. So I thought that was an excellent pickup for them. And I don't know if we see Vucevic on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. But I thought that was a good pickup by them. Good pickup by the Celtics, man. They continue to still be able to field a championship caliber team with a lot of moving parts. People are speculating on the future of Draymond Green. I couldn't care less. Steve Kerr talking about building a statue. Go ahead and build him a statue. I couldn't care less what happened to that guy. Mitchell Garland. I'm trying to look what else. What other trades went down yesterday? Any other trade I'm missing? Throw it in the chat. I thought there was another one here. Hang on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. AD to the Wizards. Oh, big blockbuster trade just went down. Anthony Davis gets traded to the Wizards. What the hell? As the younger generation would say. Hang on here. Hang on here. Hang on. Let me update my Twitters here. What the hell? Whoa. Dallas Mavericks blockbuster here. Dallas Mavericks trading 10-time All-Star Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Lo, and Dante Exum to the Wizards for Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Malachi Branham, and Marvin Bagley III, 2 first-round picks and 3 seconds. So AD doesn't get sent to a contender. Instead, shout out to my Game of Thrones fans, he gets sent to the wall. Oh, man. Is that what all the hype was about with Rich Paul and Clutch Sports? Golly. AD, how's AD feeling today? Somebody in Hot Dorito says Nico strikes again. They sent him to the wall. We might have seen the last of Rich Paul with AD, man. AD, you got to come to CAA. You better call Worldwide West and get you some proper representation up in there. Because CAA is doing it. I don't know if you're going to come to the Knicks, but damn. They sent that man to the penitentiary. That is diabolical. Nasty work, as the youth would say. Whoa. Interesting. It's interesting because doesn't Alex Sarr play the 5? So all right. So they're going to they want the 1-2 punch with. Well, it is kind of interesting from the Wizards standpoint, right? So they're gonna tank it up. They're going to say, oh, AD, you got to rehab everything. We want to keep him fresh, just like Trae Young. Trae Young sitting there in a hoodie. He's clapping back at Knicks fans, last night, fully healthy. I'm not buying all that rehab. So they're going to bring those 2 guys in, tank it up, go into the lottery, get another pick in what's considered to be a deep draft. I like that. I like that for the Wizards. It's a good pickup. I do like that. I like that. I like their approach right now. Because for a long time, building through the lottery alone has not worked for this Wizards team. So you bring in Trae, you bring in AD, you got Sarr, I like Koulibaly, they got Trey Jones. I like that, actually. It's not that bad. It's not a bad thought for a team that, you're not getting free agents. You haven't been able to draft top talent, even though you're at the top of the draft every year. You don't draft the right guys. That's interesting. Now, they're doing all this, when they owe the Knicks their pick. So from a Knicks fan perspective, that sucks because they're not going to play these guys. NYC Bebo says, how's our Wizards pick looking like? Same way it was looking before they got him because damn well they ain't playing him. All right, so AD to the Wizards. All right. Let's see what Shams is saying. NBA trade deadline week stunner. Clearly, the Wizards have completed their deconstruction phase and are now moving toward Young and Davis, leading a rising young core. Washington has turned its previous Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma trades into Young, Davis, and 5 pick swaps. Okay. All right. Let's see how it works out for them. Wizards acquiring a future Hall of Famer in big man in Davis. Top 75 player all time. Add to Trae Young, Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, Bilal Koulibaly. Dallas receives long-term assets and opens significant flexibility to build around Cooper Flag. Yeah, for the Mavs, look, I mean, this was a no-brainer for them. They got to start peeling it back. You trade AD. You look to trade Kyrie next year. And you let the Cooper flag build take shape. Dallas receiving 2026 Thunder first-round pick and a 2030 protected Warriors first-round pick in this deal from the Wizards, along with second-rounders in 26, 27, and 29. Those are all via Phoenix, Chicago, and Houston, respectively, 26, 27, 29. So, yeah, so Shams is saying they're going to build around those two guys. My man on the TikTok, Knicks Finest, says, well, how long till AD asks out to go to a contender? Anthony Davis, man, out of there. Okay. All right. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you know, usually these things kind of went down during the trade deadline. I guess the Luka thing was a little bit early too last year, but interesting stuff here, man. AD heads to the Washington Wizards. All right, man. Well, look. Either way, you guys know where to find me. You guys know where to find us, man. If anything happens as it relates to the New York Knicks, listen, man, I got my laptop. I got my studios coming with me. Anywhere I go, the studio's with me. So we ready. We always ready. We don't miss it. So you guys know where to come to. Number one show for the fans by the fans. Anything happens, we will be ready to cover it and deliver. And best of all, give you guys the opportunity to get your takes in. That's one thing that separates Knicks Fan TV from the rest. The only podcast that takes live calls from the fans worldwide. I don't care where you at. You call in on the Discord and you get your takes in. And the people rate the takes. 1 being trash, 5 being facts. I'm just the conductor. I don't judge you. You come in with your takes. All opinions are welcome. And the people decide how good it was. Shout out to the Rhyme Animal, Chuck D, man. Everybody throw a hashtag PE in the chat. $5 super chat says, wow, another nail in Nico Harrison's career coffin. He can't even fly over Dallas, much less switch flights in the DFW now. Yeah, that's it. A byproduct of the Luka trade. Tough one, man. Shout out to AD. Look at JD in the chat talking about AD traded. JD, you late, man. You replay, gang. JD, you got to rewind. Man. Shout out to JD Sports Talk. Knicks Finest, I feel you. Salute, man. Salute. Blessings to you as well, man. All right, so I done worked up an appetite. I'm going to go get some lunch. I'm sticking by my phone. If anything happens, we will be back. But if not, come back here for the Knicks versus Nuggets post-game live, highlights, analysis, caller reactions, the whole 9 yards. Once again, people, the People's Championship is right here. 100,000 subscribers. We appreciate y'all for tapping in. My franchise channel members, salute to y'all. Remember, shop.KnicksFanTV.com. Use that link for now because the KnicksFanTV.com domain, we got hacked again. So go to shop.KnicksFanTV.com for right now. 20% off site-wide a Valentine's Day sale. And get your merch, man. Your 100 KFTV tees. And I'll take a quick break. And I'll see you guys tonight, man. All right? Have a great rest of your day, people. We out of here. Peace.